theory of chemical evolution has been supported by many experimental evidences, and one of them is called Urey and Miller's experiment. It is also known as spark discharge experiment. Urey and Miller, a combination of teacher and student, designed an experimental setup and used that experimental setup for simulating a situation that was found in the primitive earth, used hydrogen, methane, carbon dioxide and water vapor, passed the gases through the apparatus and ultimately obtained some simple organic compounds as the product. The experimental design was like this. The apparatus had a spark discharge apparatus which was connected to electrodes. These are the electrodes. This is the spark discharge chamber. Spark discharge chamber. On one side it was connected to a vacuum pump. Vacuum pump. There was a flask containing water. This was the experimental setup. The apparatus they designed is known as spark discharge apparatus. It consisted of a flask containing water which could be boiled, a glass tube through which this water vapor passes and reaches a chamber called spark discharge chamber. In this spark discharge chamber, a mixture of hydrogen, water vapor, carbon dioxide and methane were taken. The spark discharge chamber had electrodes, so when electricity was conducted, there was production of starch. The spark discharge chamber was connected to electrodes, and when these electrodes are connected to a source of electricity, there was discharge of spark here. This water was boiled, water vapor drove away the gases into the spark discharge chamber, and this experiment was ran for several days, continuously for several days. A source of water was made to enter for a cooling effect, and this is the water outlet, this is the water inlet to cool the products. The products were obtained and collected. These products on analysis were found to contain several amino acids, simple organic compounds and some kinds of sugars. So all that the reactants here that they took were hydrogen, water vapor, carbon dioxide and methane, the primitive gases that were found in the atmosphere, and in the presence of high discharge of spark, they could combine among themselves to result in the formation of some simple organic compounds. So this experiment came to be known as Urey-Miller's experiment. The experiment was conducted in a specially designed spark discharge apparatus. The apparatus was initially evacuated using a vacuum pump. Hydrogen, carbon dioxide, water vapor and methane in a specific proportion were forced into the spark discharge chamber. Spark discharge chamber. It was connected to a source of electricity through electrodes. when these gases hydrogen, carbon dioxide, water vapor and methane were driven into the spark discharge chamber, it was switched on. High energy sparks allowed the combining of these gases. Finally, the products were cooled and collected. With the help of a water chamber, they were cooled and collected. On analysis, the products were found to contain some amino acids and sugars. So the formation of simple organic compounds could be experimentally demonstrated by Urey and Miller in the spark discharge experiment. Subsequently, another biologist by name Sidney Fox conducted similar experiments and proved what Urey and Miller found. And quite recently, similar experiments have shown even the formation of nucleic acids. Thereby, the theory of chemical evolution has been supported by several experimental evidences.